Alright, so how do we create users? We already saw how can we create a user account, but let's just create a user account and then go through different tabs that we have within the user accounts. So we will create another user account in here and then call it John. And John is one of our employees. So John Davis and Davis J, which is our naming convention for our users. Next, type the password here. And in here you have different options. Users must change the password at next login. So whenever you have a new employee who is joining your company, you always choose this option, because when the user logs in, you give them the default password that you set up, and then they will have to reset the password and they will choose a password by their own so that they can have their secrets with them. So that is really important. Never keep someone's password. Always make sure you have this checked so that they can change their password. Another option is that until they don't do that, you cannot do this. So if you uncheck this, you have like user cannot change password. If you do not want your users to be able to change password, you can choose this. But since it is their password and they are working in the company, it's okay for them to change the password. But some companies' policies, processes that they have according to their security guideline, they do not want users to change the password. But I don't think it's a big deal. But again, depends on your company's processes. Password never expires. This is set when you do not want this password to be expired. In most of the companies, it is one of the best practices to set up a password policy where you define like after how many days the password is going to be expired. Some companies it's 30 days, some companies it's 45 days, some companies it's 60 days. So it is really important, and it is one of the best practices to use this option, because if you keep using the same key like for years, what is going to happen? Someone is going to find out your secret. So it is not a good idea to check this. Account is disabled. This is done when you do not want the user to be able to log in anymore. You want this to be disabled. One of the use for onboarding is that if the user or if the employees is starting on 15th of this month and then you are creating an account on 1st of the month, you can choose this option because you do not want him to log in until they join. So once they join, you can uncheck this after creation. So if I check it and then press finish, now you can see it is created, and I have this icon in here. This icon in here that you see means that the account is disabled. If I double click in here, you can see that I have first name, last name, display name, description. One of the other greatest practices that I can tell you in here is the best practices. Always make sure you have office. For example, the office is in San Francisco. And telephone number and email address. These are important information to put in here, because if you put this in here and you have like thousands of users, you will be easily able to find out a user, like where that user is located, who is that user, what is the role of that user, and how can I contact. So this information is very important and it is part of the best practices. If you click on address, you can simply type the address, like what is the address, 567 J Street, Ohio, for example, and then PO box, anything that you want to put. This is again important to put because in most companies where like you have business in like different countries and you have like thousands of users, you really need this, because how are you going to find the user if you don't know where they're located? So this is very important. When you click on account, you can see that I have user logon name. This is the logon name. So whenever we will create our Windows 10 machine, you will see that we will use this logon name. We will use Davis J and then the password to log in. Again, since this was disabled, I will simply say unlock account so that it will be unlocked. And if I go here, you can see that the account is disabled. So let me take my words back here. The account is disabled. We will uncheck. The account is now enabled. After clicking on apply, you can see the mark goes. Unlock account. When does we use this? Most of the times, most users, when they forget their password, what they do is like they put their passwords multiple times, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and then according to the group policy that you have set up, it locks their account, so they are not able to log in anymore. And they will always call their IT support, hey, can you please unlock my account? I'm locked because I was not able to log in. I forgot my password. So you will come here and check this and then apply. It will simply unlock their account. So same options, and account expires is never. But you can set up from here, or it is always best practice to do it from group policy so that it will apply on everyone, unless you want to do like a manual expiry date. Let's just say that this person is a contractor working with HR, and then you want his account to expire in next 2 days, so his account only needs to be valid for 2 days, so you can do that too. If you click on profile, you can see that you have user profile path that you can put in here. You can put login script, and then you can map a network drive in here. So we will go through this map network drive in our upcoming lessons. But what it does is it basically maps a network drive in your computer. So basically, if you have a file server, you want that file server to be automatically mapped as a drive in your computer. You can use this option. Telephone numbers, you can put all your mobile phone numbers and everything else in here. If you click on organization, this is again one of the best practices. It's always good that you put your job title, for example, IT manager, department is IT, company is knowledge train, and then name of your manager. Name of your manager is really important that you put in here, so that if someone sees, okay, who is manager of John Davis, the manager of John Davis is Michael. So you can do that in here. Another thing is remote control. So if you want to enable remote control, you can see that to remotely control or observe a user session, if you want to do like observe this user session, you can do that from here. So another thing is that it will do that, but it will require users permission in order to actually observe the session. And the other one that I see in here is member of. So basically, if this John Davis is one of the administrators, backup administrators, and you want him to be able to do the backups and everything, you can delegate the tasks from here by clicking on add, and then you can type backup, check name. It will automatically detect it for us. Press OK. Now this John Davis is member of domain users. Or let's just say that you want this John Davis to be able to have read-only access to HR folder. You can simply type the name of the group that you created, and then you can see we have two groups. That's why it just popped up with this box. So okay, we want this one, and apply. Now you can see that he is member of read-only group for HR folder, and also member of backup operators. So he will be able to perform all those tasks. So this was a properties settings for a user that you can do on a daily basis. Another is workstation or computer that we created. So you can see that this is a computer that account that we created. If we create another one, you can simply right click new and then type the name in here, and you can see that users or groups, domain admin, who can actually join this computer to the domain. The domain admins can join a computer to the domain. So uh, domain admins are those like who have the permission to join a computer to the domain. Once I double click on it, you can see I can click on operating system. I see nothing because I created it and I have not joined any computer with that name to Active Directory. Once I join a computer with that name to Active Directory, you will be able to see the details of that computer in here. Member of, you can see it's member of domain computers. You can make it member of any other group if you want to have like delegation in here. And then we have delegation tab in here. So if you want to trust this computer for delegation, you can for any services like Kerberos only. And this is basically where you are actually allowing delegation, and it's a sensitive thing, security sensitive operation, which allows services to act on behalf of another user. Most of the times what happens is that when you have a computer and you're basically joining it to the domain and then you're using a special or third-party application, most of the times you may not be able to actually use certain features, and it will tell you, hey, in order to use this application you need to actually enable this option trust to this computer for delegation. So basically you're doing delegations from here. And then location, you can set up the location in here like San Francisco again, so that we know where that computer is located. And then managed by, you can put like managed by who is using it, and then office, address, etc. So this is what you can do. And then when we go to group, basically creating group is easy. You click here and then put the name, and then you set which one is that. Is that a security group? Is that a distribution group? So what is the difference? The difference is if you're using a security group, you can basically assign permissions, but if you're using a distribution group, you are basically using this for email. So for example, if I click here and say HR and make it as a distribution group, so now all users who are member of this group will receive email when we send an email to hr@kd.local. So when you send an email to hr@kd.local, whoever is the member of this group, they will all receive an email. Distribution group is used when you have like email going on to multiple users at the same time. So if you have 100 users, do you think it's a good idea to type their email addresses one by one, or just type one name like hr@kd.local and then it will send email to hundreds of users? So it is distributing emails to users who are member of a distribution group. And then security group is for permissions. You are applying permissions to the security group. So that is the difference between security group and distribution group. So this is how you create computer accounts, user accounts, and then groups. If I double click on it, you can see that I have general option in here. I can always change it from distribution to security group, or I can put description, I can put the email address. Right now we don't have an Exchange server, mail server, that's why you're not able to see it. But when you create a distribution group, you create it on the email server most of the time, and then it automatically shows the email address in here. Members, right now we don't have any members. If you want to add, you can do that. Just type their names and then check name press OK, and then it will add them as a member. So now when you send email to hr@katie.local, I will receive an email. Member of, currently it's member of no one. Again, it's for delegation. If you want to make it member of administrator, or member of like any other group, you can do that. So another is managed by. You can put like managed by the administrator, whoever is managing it, and then put other information like street, office, etc. So that is how you can create users, workstations, and users, and by considering the naming convention as well as the other best practices.